electric cars rather than spending time on developing better combustion engines?
Yeah. Well, we think, as you know, so far, the countries which are supporting electric cars are well known. The United States, France, the UK, Denmark, Israel, Japan. And how do you support electric car? You support electric car by making sure that you are offering an incentive for the consumer to buy an electric car on public money. Does it mean that electric car is unsustainable without public money? No. But many governments know that you need to offer electric car scale in order for the electric car to compete. In 2010, 73 million cars were produced and sold in the world. 20,000 of them were electric. Everybody understands that because of the economy of scale, there is no way electric car are going to be able to compete against combustion engine unless electric car reach a certain level. We consider this level as about 1 million. The day that we'll produce about 1 million electric car, they will be able to compete on their own against internal combustion engine cars. So governments are ready to give an incentive for the consumer up to a certain level of production. Then they will withdraw this support in order to allow car manufacturer to work on the economy, using the economy of scale to reduce the cost. Now, China did not enter the game yet, because China did not yet announce officially what is the policy towards electric cars. They have taken some very partial decision, which means in some specific provinces and in some specific cities, they're going to offer incentive, very large incentive for the consumer on the condition that the consumer buy a Chinese car. Yeah, it has to be Chinese. If not, if it's a foreign electric car, no. But the official policy of China has still not been stated at the level of the country. But we know that it's going to be stated before summer. That means sometime in June or July of the year 2011, China will establish its own policy. Now, we have checked all the battery makers and the electric car makers in the world, and I can tell you, I don't think today the Chinese automakers have an advantage in terms of electric car or in terms of battery compared to the Japanese or compared to the Koreans. They don't. Okay, maybe it's going to be the case 10 years down the road, but for the moment, I don't think, following up your question, I don't think that we as global car makers, no matter if we're American, Japanese, or European, are to a disadvantage compared to the Chinese in terms of new technology car or in terms of a new technology around battery. It may be the case in the future, but so far it's not visible.
Yes.
Hi. Okay. Hi. Javier Garcia with the Keller Center. I would like to know, how do you see the contributions of the research that done in universities to the car manufacturing business, and if you see any opportunities for the creation of new companies coming from collaboration between the car industry and universities? How do you identify the breakthroughs that are needed for the car of the future?
Well, this is an interesting question, because I had this question already 3 times today, yeah? Which means everybody's focused on this. I had this question talking with the president of the university. I had the question talking with the dean of engineering. I had the question talking with Emily about where are the main areas of innovation. Where are the area where you can have startups or entrepreneurs saying, I'm going to solve this problem and I'm going to develop a company which is going to bring you part of the solution. 2 areas, at least 2. The first one, area of breakthrough, absolutely fundamental, is the battery. I mean, today the amount of investment going into the battery technology and around the battery in general is huge. Why? Because everybody understands that the battery is at the core of electric car efficiency, hybrid car efficiency, fuel cell car to come. And fundamentally, the battery is an answer to a fundamental question of the 21st century about how do you store energy. Today, one of the problems we're facing is we don't know how to store energy. When you produce energy, you have to consume it. If you don't consume it, it's gone. Okay? So by establishing very efficient batteries, while you're going to solve part of the problems which we are facing, which is how can I store energy? And how can I reuse it at the moment? How can I store it at the moment where it costs me less and use it at the moment where it costs me more? So, any work, any breakthrough at the level of the battery would be welcome and will make you probably the next billionaire startup company, because everybody's eager to say, how can I transform the 250 kilograms battery that I'm going to have today on the Leaf into something smaller, more efficient, less costly, and with the higher power density possible? First area, obvious one, a lot of research, a lot of investment going on, and I can tell you that means there is a lot to come into the battery technology. Second area of breakthrough is, and this is something which is not valid only for the car industry, but for industry in general, is about, it was very easy 5 or 10 years ago to talk about your product and promote your product because you know where to go. You put a TV ad on specific emissions and you were sure to hit millions of people. It's not anymore the case today. Today, you need to understand the evolution of the web and Facebook and all the different angles where people are moving to try to get information. And we are, as car manufacturer, we spend probably, our budget for advertising per year is about $3 billion. And today we are at a loss to know exactly how we should spend this money in order to get the attention of the public on our product. Because TV advertising doesn't work anymore. Because people are not looking at TV anymore. Or when they look at the TV on specific emissions. They are spending much more time, this generation spending much more time on computer than on TV. They're getting information through social networks, through different and we need to go and see where we can catch the attention. And this is something which is growing. It's extremely important, a lot of money at stake. And this second area of innovation is how can you communicate efficiently about your product, knowing that your consumer or your public or your targets are not looking anymore where they were looking in the past. And it's exploding, it's diversifying, it's going in completely different direction, and we need to catch it up. Second area of innovation, where can you catch the attention of the consumer in the most efficient way? So these are two areas for your own thoughts.
Other questions? Yes.
Hi, I'm just Sam Robinson.
No, sorry, you need to speak into the microphone because we're recording it.
Hi, I'm Josh Shans Robinson, and I'm a first-year electrical engineering student. I would venture to say that in numerous emerging markets, what you find is that there is a growth in the ownership of cars, but this has not been matched by a corresponding growth in infrastructure. Do you think in the future the lack of infrastructure in these countries could actually decrease your revenues, or how are you really planning to address this type of situation?
Yeah, well, without any doubt that the lack of infrastructure in some countries is limiting the development of the car industry, no doubt about it. Now, is it going to reduce our revenue? I don't believe it. I think it's going to reduce the pace of growth, without any doubt. For example, the development of the car industry in India is certainly handicapped by the lack of infrastructure. It's visible. India can take much more cars, there is needs, but the fact that there is not enough investment for roads, is a limitation. Now, it doesn't mean that the car park of India is shrinking, not at all. But instead of progressing at 15% a year, which has been the growth rate of China, it has been progressing at 8 or 9% a year because of the infrastructure. So I wouldn't say it's going to decrease our revenue, but it limits the level of growth that we should be able to see in some countries. This is going to be the case in many developing countries which are rich and growing, and the investment on infrastructure is going to determine the pace of growth of this country. I mean, if you take a look to the growth level for the last 5 years, I think, at least for the last 5 years, between China, India, and Brazil, China has systematically outgrown Brazil and India. you can find many, many reasons for this. But there is one which is objectively demonstrated, is the fact that China spent more money on infrastructure than the other two countries. That's the biggest difference between the three countries. And that's why India, for example, has engaged into a massive infrastructure investments for the next 5 years. And Brazil, with the new president, is also trying to engage into a massive infrastructure investment. When I'm talking about infrastructure, I'm not talking only about roads, I'm talking about ports, airports, electricity, and everything which really constitute the backbone of the economy. So again, to answer your question, I don't think it's going to be reducing our revenue, but it will be reducing the pace of growth of these countries.
Questions up there?
Hi, I'm Daniel Schwartz-Narbonne. I'm a PhD student in electrical engineering here. And so you were talking about having this global alliance with a lot of different companies. And something that I've seen when I've worked is how hard it is, even within one company, to coordinate different offices in different cities and different time zones. So how do you make that work in different companies with different work cultures in different time zones in different countries and different languages?
Well, you know, it's,